talking about chatbots today. That's a fun one. It's kind of a complicated subject because not everybody understands how a bot works or what it is, or they have maybe misconception about what can be provided through a bot. And so today we're going to talk about kind of the background of a bot, where you can build one, and then we're also going to get into really not super deep, but pretty deep on how you can use it as a real estate agent and some of the things that it's limited by and some of the things that you can kind of hack and make it work for you. So I've got a bunch of ideas. It's going to be fun. So as normal, we typically cover about 15-20 minutes of content and try to share as much as we can. And then we'll get into Q&A, and I know I've got some questions today, so I'm excited to be stumped. Bring it on. Anyway, get your questions ready. Again, I'm happy to talk about whatever marketing kind of stuff you want to talk about. If you want to get into social media, if you want to get into website traffic, if you want to get into CRM type of stuff, or if you want to go mail, door knocking, phone calling, whatever. We've done it all, so I'm happy to talk about all that kind of stuff and share my experiences with you guys. So I'm going to give you the big caveat. We've got crazy storms here. I don't know where you guys live, but in Southern California, I feel like Noah's going to come rolling by here any minute. We've had like 4 Amber Alert kind of flood warnings on my phone this morning already. So I'm hoping the internet stays around. My internet sucks most of the time anyway, so hopefully you guys can still see me and keep this going. We're going to be more of like just a chat today. I don't have as much content like video-wise to share with you guys, or really kind of a how-to guide. What I do want to tell you though is that this is going to be the reason why you guys need a bot in your business, and just thinking about the concept of what a bot can do. And then in a future class coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to go over, it's going to be a longer one. So we're going to go over how to build a bot. And a lot of these websites talk about how to build a bot in like 2 to 3 minutes. If you've built hundreds of them, yeah, that's possible. But for the first one, it's probably going to take you like 4 hours. So I just want to give you kind of the how-tos coming up. But right now, I just want to plant the seed and saying you probably need a bot in your real estate business if you have a social media account, which you should, if you have a website, or if you really have any type of content that comes out on a regular basis. So think about those kind of things. So get your questions ready. We're going to get to you guys in a second. And if you're watching us on Facebook, come join us on Zoom, because I can hear you, I can talk to you, we can respond back and forth. We're not watching Facebook right now, so I don't see any comments that are happening in there. But come to Zoom, hit that link, and join us on there. Just it's a website you can join. So get your questions answered over here. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my notes so that we can cover everything that we need to. And let me close that. And then we're going to talk about one platform specifically. So I'll wait to get to that in a second. Let me just move this over here so that we are good. Okay, cool. So first off, what's a bot? I think a lot of people get the idea that a bot is AI technology, right? Meaning that if I have a conversation with Siri, or I'm not going to say her name, but the A word, because she's over here listening to me right now. If I start talking to her, she's going to start commenting. Or like the Google Home, that little thing, I can't think of what it's called, the Google Home one. But we have these in our house, and they talk to us, and you can ask them to play music, and you can ask them, how many gallons are in a liter or whatever. You can talk to it, and it gives kind of automated responses. And it's kind of built out in a way that's predetermined to give you that information. A bot right now, a messenger bot, which goes back to Facebook, right? So these are going to basically be Facebook Messenger bots. That's where all this conversation is happening. You can obviously build bots on other platforms, but right now Facebook offers a lot of technology for free, which allows you to do that. So back in the day, they had customer service bots where if I, for example, got to Amazon and I said, hey, I never got my box, I can talk to a computer and it can kind of go back and forth and respond to me. Amazon actually had to build out that whole bot and all the conversation and everything that's going to happen. And everything that we're talking about today lives within Facebook. So you actually have to have a Facebook account for one of these to work. And that's where that platform is going to be housed. And so you're actually communicating back and forth with people who are on Facebook. If they don't have a Facebook account, you can't reach them. So think about that. And again, what it is not is it's not AI. So you can't have predictive texting, if that makes sense. So for example, I can't have a conversation with a bot and saying, hey, how's the weather tomorrow? It's not going to know. It needs to be more yes, no questions, or I think a good way to think about this is, if you remember, I mean, when I was back in school, they had these books, and they're like 70, 80, maybe 100 pages long, and they were called Choose Your Own Adventure books. So you start reading and you're, 5, 10 pages into it, and then something happens. You go to the haunted house and it says, do you want to go into the haunted house or do you want to go around back? If you want to go into the haunted house, turn to page 17. If you want to go around back, turn to page 38. So it kind of gave you two forks in the roads that you could follow. And that's exactly how a chatbot works. So it's more of presenting options for the, we'll call it the lead to have, and then letting them choose this route. So you can have 2, 3, 4 different routes that they can go on from each question or each response, and deciding which way you want to go. So I'll just give you one example and then we'll go a little bit deeper in this. So for example, let's say you have somebody who comes to your Facebook page and they're not a follower in this example, and they're just checking you out. So when they get there, your messenger bot might pop up and say, hey, thanks for visiting our page. We sell homes, for example, in Southern California. This is what we do. Are you in the market to buy a home in the next, let's just call it ASAP, or 3 to 6 months out, or are you 6 to 12 months out? Or maybe neither. And so if somebody says ASAP, I'm ready to go right now, I need to buy a house. You can say, great, would you like to start looking at the homes that we have available on our website? And they say yes, you can bring them to your website. If they say, I'm 3 to 6 months out, you can respond and say, great, tell me more about what you're looking for. Are you looking for a single bedroom or a single family house, a condo, a townhouse, and giving them options from there. So you're leading them down a path that's pretty predetermined. And that's what has to happen with this bot, is you've got to create that conversation. You have to have the intro, and then you have to be able to predict where that audience or that lead may want to go, and giving them results. So if they choose, well, let's just say A, B, or C, if they choose B, what's from there and where are they going to go from there? And they can tie into the same thing. For example, they could all come back to your website of showing them, homes that are currently available on the market through like an IDX site, but maybe the route to get there is different, or the information that you collect on the way is different. So that's kind of some of the ways to think about what a bot is. The nice thing is that all this conversation happens in the background without you having to be there, right? So that's the point, is I don't have to be typing away at my computer or my phone to have these conversations. The technology is doing it for me. But what's great is I can go back and I can monitor or check all the conversation and then pick it up where I need to. So we're going to get into really how to use these in real estate and some of the benefits of using these in real estate in your business. But that's, I would say, probably one of the number one benefits of having a bot, is that it's like having a team member sitting at your Facebook account all day, ready to go, 24 hours a day, that you don't have to pay. Well, a lot of these bots can be free depending on how many users you have, and we're going to get into pricing in a sec too. But if you had to pay somebody in your office, like an assistant or something like that, to always be there, always be ready to man the Facebook chat, there's a good chance, number one, that they're going to get distracted and just start messing around on Facebook and doing other things. Hopefully we've got a good employee. But the other side is you got to pay that person, and they're not going to be around 24/7. They're going to need time off, and they're going to need to eat and sleep and go home at night. So the bot's there 24 hours a day, 2 in the morning, it doesn't matter. And they can have those conversations and be there and like instantly, right? So when you get a lead or somebody comes into your platform at that moment, they're there and they're ready to go. So let's get into some of the ways that you can use a chatbot in your business. I kind of just penciled out a few ideas that we've come up with some of our clients, and some of the ways I think that probably tie into what you're doing. So a good one, we talked about this kind of already, is a great way to be there for visitors to your site. So this is happening, this is happening on Facebook, but you can host one of these bots on your website. So for example, if I drive traffic to whatever your website is, abcrealestate.com, right? And people get there and they start looking around your site, they check out your blogs, they check out the contact page, and they're there. You can have a time delay saying that if someone's here after 2 minutes, there's a good chance that maybe they want to do something with real estate, or they're looking around, or they're checking me out, rather than just, oops, I got to this website, I went to the wrong one. So if they're there, you can set a timer saying, okay, 2 minutes out, start this conversation. So in the little corner over here, I'm going to point to the corner of my screen, and you can pick wherever it shows up. But it pops up and just says, hey, it doesn't know the name, obviously, but hey, thanks for visiting. Thanks for being here today. It looks like you've been looking around our website for a little while. Are there any questions that I can ask for or answer for you? And if they say yes, you could say, great. Like, you can't just be open-ended at that point, but you can say yes or no, pick your choice. So yes, great. Would you like to know what homes are available for sale? Are you thinking about selling your home in the future? Would you like to schedule a call with one of our agents? Things like that. So that's kind of the way that you can adapt it to your website. What I will tell you is that, again, it's tracking these as Facebook users. So some of these apps, some of the bots that you can work with will allow you to use a first name, a last name, things like that. So you can say, hey, blank, and then it takes that information from Facebook and it assumes that, they know their first name. So when I type my name on Facebook as being Eric Hammond, it can take that Eric and put that in there. So it can say, hey, Eric, thanks for visiting our website. Some programs don't offer that. So you got to pick and choose kind of what benefits you're looking for in a bot. So that's one of them, to be there on your website. I'm sure you've seen that if you've ever been to, any type of an e-commerce website. They're going to ask you, if they can help you look around or whatever. Another one is it allows you to be responsive when you're busy. So we talked about this already. Unless you have an assistant who's there 24 hours a day, if you're out selling homes and being the real estate agent that you are, people are going to come visit your site. They're going to come to your Facebook platform. They're going to be there and asking questions at all hours of the day. And it's nice to be able to be there. I've talked to a lot of Zillow reps about, follow-up and consistency and being like what the success rate is of a lead when it comes in. And basically, they say if you respond within, I think it's like 5 minutes of a Zillow lead coming in, 5 minutes. Got that? You have to call them back and actually contact them, not just send them a text or leave a voicemail, but you have to talk to them. The success rate within 5 minutes on a Zillow lead is like 75%. Now that never happens because number one, agents are busy. You guys are out there selling homes and doing these things. So the chance of you getting back to somebody within 5 minutes is impossible most of the time, unless you have an ISA team or somebody there at your office who can just pick up the phone and go. The other side of it is actually getting in contact with that person. So they're there and they fill out their information and you get it. The success rate of you actually being able to connect with that person within 5 minutes is super rare. It's like 4 or 5%. So now we're talking about 4 or 5% of people actually being able to pick up the phone. And then out of that, you have to be there within 5 minutes and connect to get that success rate. So the side of a bot means that they're scrolling around, they're on their phone right now, they're visiting a website, they're there, and this thing pops up. That's the best way, and that's the best time to communicate with them. So you're gonna have a much better success rate and ability to talk to people when you have them in the platform right then. Okay, so another one is a great way to provide value to people asking questions. So again, if they're scrolling around your website or checking out your Facebook page or a blog or something like that, you can say, if you understood that they're ready to buy a house in the next 3 to 6 months, what kind of questions are you needing to have answered about buying or selling a house? Have you been approved yet, or have you narrowed down the area that you want to look for? Really kind of helping identify again what that client's looking for in their next property. I think back in the day, a lot of people, when somebody would come to their website, they'd be like, quick, we got to get their email and we got to get their name and their phone number and collect all this information. And people have been super hesitant about giving that information, or they'll just put, my name's John Smith, my phone number is 555-1212, and my email address is nothanks@gmail. And now you have a bad lead. Versus when Facebook tracks you coming to your website, they know everything about you. They know your phone number, they know your email address, they know your name and all this information. So I don't have to ask. I can come straight into bringing value to that conversation. So I already know your name. Just, hey, John, thanks for being here. Tell me more about what you're looking for in your next home. You can go right into that conversation, assuming that you know everything about that client, name and phone number wise. It's a great way to drip on clients and start engagement or follow up in a subtle way. So I like this one. Once you have this information, you've collected some data on the people in your Facebook page, so let's say you have 100 followers or 1,000 followers, or you have trackable data from people who've been to your website, you can touch base with them every once in a while. What's cool is you can set up these patterns in these chatbots to say, okay, if I haven't heard from this group of people in 3 months, send them this message. So you might categorize those people who say, look, I'm 3 to 6 months out on buying a house and they haven't really communicated in a while with you. You can just say, hey, John, it's been a few months. Last time we spoke, you said that you were thinking about buying a house in the next 3 to 6 months. I just wanted to follow up and see if that's still the process, yes or no, or that's still the plan, yes or no. If he says no, like, okay, maybe things have changed. What's your time frame right now for buying a house? Is it 1 to 3 months? Is it 3 to 6 months? Kind of give them another option. If it's yes, great. Have you been able to find anything that you're looking for? Start having those kind of fork in the road conversations and narrowing them down to what they're looking for. The other thing I maybe forgot to mention too is that all this is happening in the back end. At any time, you can pick up your phone and see all these conversations going and jump right in and saying, hey, John, it is Eric. That's been my technology talking to you. I see that you said you wanted to buy a house in the next 1 to 3 months. What might cause that to happen next week, or what might provoke that to happen sooner? Have you started looking at homes? Have you met with a lender yet? That can take a little while. Here's a couple lenders I might, reference you to. So you can pick up that conversation, which is nice. But it's basically a good way. Again, if you have this database, it's a good way to just drip on them and remind them who you are. This ties into another one here, which is further down the list, but I think it makes sense to bring up now. If you're an agent who holds a lot of open houses and you have that pool of buyers and you've identified who those people are, one of the other cool things that you can do with these chatbots is identify them in groups. Just like on MailChimp, you can say, here's my buyers list, here's my farm list, here's my sellers list, however you want to segregate it. You can tag people and say, these are first-time home buyers, or these are 3 to 6 month out buyers. So you can put them into the list and then talk to them. So maybe you say, hey group, or hey, you obviously calling them by specific name. We have an open house coming up on 123 Main Street. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. I know that you said you were looking for a 4-bedroom house. This one's priced at X. We're going to be there on Saturday from 1 to 4. I'd love to meet you and just say hi and see if anything's changed in your home search. Come on down. And all that can happen automatically by you just putting into the system that you're actually having an open house and send it out, and it just follows up and starts that conversation for you. So again, when they say bot, it's literally like having a team of ISAs who reach out to your fans and followers and call them up and engage them and keep that ball rolling. One of the things that I've realized with working with so many agents is that most of the time there's so much going on in their own database that they have no idea. People are buying houses, selling houses all the time. And because that agent's not able to keep up and follow up with a lot of the clients that are in their database, they lose out on so many opportunities. There was one agent that we worked with a while ago. I think I've told this story here before, but they had 7,000 people in their database when I met them. And tons of people. They had their name, their phone number, and their email address. 7,000 people. And it was basically past clients, it was Zillow leads, it was leads from all over the place, it was leads from open houses, it was leads from buyers agents on their team. They just dumped everything into one pot. And I said, guys, how often do you follow up with these people? Do you send them a newsletter? Do you communicate with them? And their answer was, you know what, we don't. We keep putting them in there, but nobody calls and follows up with them. So I said, let's do this. Let's go through and call the whole list and just find out where people are. So we can say, have you bought or have you not? So we went through and we hired a VA who could call, and they basically had a script that was super simple. And we had somebody, had a pretty decent English understanding there in the Philippines. And we basically said, have this conversation, hey, John, this is Eric from this team. I just wanted to follow up with you. It looked like you guys had talked in the past. I'm wondering, have you bought a house in the last 2 years? Yes or no? That's all I want to know. Have you bought a house? And they put yes or no on the survey. They went through and they categorized it. 40% of that list had either bought or sold a house within the last 2 years. And these guys had no idea. That is a ton of money that they missed out on, a ton of opportunities that they could have had they just touched base with their clients or their database on a regular basis. So if you enable this bot to just follow up and touch and communicate and ask, you're going to have a much, much better chance of closing a lot more opportunities this year. Most agents are just, I got to acquire all these leads. I got to find all these people. I got to keep bringing them in because I think it's somebody else that they haven't met yet. But in reality, the next transaction that's going to happen is probably to somebody that you already met, already know, that's in your database that you're probably missing out on. So that's a huge one. Here's another one too, which kind of goes into this. If you're purchasing leads from a company like Zillow or Trulia or any of these online sources, we talked about the follow-up time and being there within 5 minutes, and that's virtually impossible to do. Here's what you can do though. There's a program called Zapier, which we've talked about before. It's basically a third-party app that connects Facebook and your CRM and Zillow and all these things together, right? So let me just kind of paint this picture, if you will, to kind of understand how this works. So let's say you have Zillow over here and a lead comes into your system. And if you don't have it set up, basically you just have the Zillow lead and they email you at the basic level and it has a lead. And then you got to go check your email and then you got to find the number and you got to call them or email them, right? What you can do is have Zapier say, okay, a new lead came in to Zillow. Every time that happens, send all that information over to my CRM. So we'll put the CRM over here. And Zapier is free, but you can pay like $20 a month for a little bit more advanced options. Just look at ZAPIER if you want to. So then you have your CRM over here, and there's a ton of CRMs that work with this program. It could be KV Core, it could be Lions Desk, it could be Salesforce and Sitely. There's a ton of them out there that work with it. So basically, you take that information, the name, the phone number, the email address, whatever Zillow gave to you, and it goes into your CRM. And then you say, every time that happens, I want the bot to go find them on Facebook. So now you have your bot, let's just say down here, and the bot says, okay, this lead just came in, let me go find them on Facebook. So it goes and finds them on Facebook, and right now there's about a 30 to 40% success rate with this, meaning that the lead came in might be a bad email address, or it might be a non-Facebook user, which is pretty rare nowadays, or it might be, meaning like I have multiple email addresses, right? I have different accounts. I don't always give out my email address that Facebook knows me by when I meet people. I sometimes do, but it just kind of depends on the situation and what I'm working on. So they may have given Zillow an email address that doesn't sync with Facebook, so they may not find them that way. But there's a good chance that they will, 30 to 40% chance. So the bot goes and finds them on Facebook, and this is happening in just seconds, right? Like all this happened. They just click submit, and now the bot pops up on Facebook the next time they're there, or it sends them a message to the Facebook Messenger, sorry. And it basically says, hey, John, I see that you wanted more information about the house on 123 Main Street. And now here goes your script, right? Are you in the process of buying the house like soon? Is it 1 to 3 months out? Is it 3 to 6 months out? Have that conversation, and it just goes right into it. So now you don't have to come back from your listing appointment, go through all your tons of emails that you had and be like, oh, good, I got another Zillow lead. Let me try to call them up, and it's been an hour or a day or a week. And you're like, ring, ring, ring. Hey, it's the 17th message I left you. Please call me back. I'd love to find out what you're looking for in a house. The bot has that conversation for you. And when they don't respond, you can say, if you haven't responded, text them again in 2 days. If you did respond, keep having this conversation. And if they don't respond from that, you can keep engaging with them over and over and over. So again, it's like building out your whole ISA team to follow up with all your leads. It's incredible. Okay, so there's that. What are the ones on here? We're going 23 minutes, and I know we've got some questions, so I want to make sure we get to those too. You can get people to sign up for your newsletter subscription. So if you have a newsletter that you send out and you've got a big email database, like we talked about, these guys had 7,000 people on their email database that they never sent an email to. So number one, send out a newsletter. But if you're trying to build that list and you only have 100 or 200 people and you're trying to get to 7,000, use the bot. And when you have conversations with new leads and people that you've connected with in the past, say, hey, I send out a newsletter. It comes out, whatever, every Thursday morning. We provide this, this, and this. It's tips, it's strategies, it's ideas on how to maximize the value of your home when you go to sell, whatever you want to say. If you're interested, click here, I'll sign you up. And then it gets your email address and all that kind of stuff. So you can get more email subscribers. If you create content on YouTube, we've talked about content before. If you're interested in creating, videos on YouTube and how-to guides, or maybe walkthroughs of properties, or just how you do business, you can say, to all your followers or all your buyers, or however you want to organize it, hey, we just released another YouTube video. It's about this, this, and this. Click here to go check it out. And then when they click on that, it can bring them, to YouTube. So you can drive them to websites. You can drive them to your website. You can collect information. You can push attachments in front of them, maybe a questionnaire. There's so many different things you can do with these chatbots. So that's a bunch of them. What I want to get in next, let me just pull up, where did that go? I wanted to pull up one of the ones that I like best and kind of show you just kind of a quick way of checking out the website. Hold on, this is huge and it's taking up my whole screen and I can't find my, okay, we're going to share and we're going to go to that and save. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. It seems like it's kind of weird here. Let me do that. Sorry, this is kind of weird. Share. Okay, there you go. So this is called ManyChat. It's up here, ManyChat.com. There's actually dozens of chatbot programs. ManyChat's probably my favorite, and then next would be Chatfuel, which is ChatFuel. There's Botsify, and then there's OnSQL. Those are a couple of the big popular ones. So ManyChat is definitely my favorite. What's cool about it is right here it says get started free. So they have a free option. If you have less than 500 Facebook followers on your page, it's basically free to use. Once you pass 500, I think it starts at like $10. Let me just click on pricing here real quick. They have this cool sliding bar thing which tells you how much they charge. here we go. So if you're at 500, it's free. 1,000 subscribers is $15 per month. And as you kind of slide up the scale, it tells you how much it is. So it works with you. What happens is, like, let's say I'm at 500. They have a free option. This one's kind of more of a pro, I guess. They just added that, but for $10 a month, basically. What happens though is, like, let's say I'm at 500 and then I get to 700 through the month. They prorate kind of how your plan jumps up. So they don't just charge you the full 15 that month. So it's kind of a cool thing. But here's some of the stuff that you get. I think this is the free account. So you can kind of go through this and check out the pricing. What I wanted to show you though is the main page here and kind of how some of it works. So if you scroll down here, it talks about kind of what a bot is, and they have, this should start showing some text here. Let me refresh this. I want to show you how the conversation happens. So this one says, hey, John, it's nice to meet you. Would you like to subscribe to Daily Cuteness? And then this is the client saying, yes, I would. And then great, here's your dose of Daily Cuteness. This is the first one. So he's showing a picture of a cat. So that's just one example. There's a bunch more that I'm going to kind of roll through here to give you an example. This is a restaurant, so this is the ABC thing that you can say, which one do I want? Do I want menus, hours, addresses? So again, you have to tell which one is the option, and then it's going to give you some content that you can share. So you can have a conversation with them if you kind of want to see how it works. They'll actually send it to your Facebook Messenger, and you can kind of have a conversation with them to see how it works. These are some of the things that you can do. So it says, of course, set it up in 2 minutes. Not going to happen. But what's cool is you don't need to know coding. You don't have to like type in all this crazy information. You just kind of drag and drop things. So if you've ever set up a website like on Wix or WordPress, it's kind of that same kind of format where you just drag and drop. So I can have conversations. I can attach things. I can show pictures. I can play music like this one's doing. I can have movies show up. I can ask questions. I can have multiple places that it's taking you to. I can ask questions. And then this one's basically just saying I can schedule it out at kind of delayed responses. Then I can also say, look, if you haven't communicated with me in 2 days, send you another text. So there's that. It goes into talk about, kind of the benefits of being on Messenger right now. There's 1.3 billion people who use Messenger on a daily basis. That's so many people, daily basis. And one of the cool things, where is that? Yeah, it has an 80% open rate, which is incredible. Right now, email, if you're lucky, you're getting 15 to 20% open rate. So that means if you send an email to 100 people, 15 to 20 of them are actually going to open the email. Who knows what they read? Who knows what they clicked, unless you're using like MailChimp or Constant Contact. But what's cool with the Messenger is that, number one, there's a ton of people on there, and you know where they clicked. You know what they said. You can have that conversation and track all this kind of stuff. So it's incredible. So right now, massive, massive success, 80% open rate. So be there while it's working. What's going to happen is in 5 years from now, the click-through, the open rate on Messenger is going to be like 5%, just like everywhere else, because something else better came out. Someone's attention went somewhere else, and Messenger got overdone. So you have the next 4, 5, 6 years to take advantage of this incredible program while it is still amazing until something else comes out. Then you're going to have to learn that thing. Email was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, email open rate was like 98%. And that happened for just a few short years until email became overdone and people started getting hundreds of emails a day. So again, there's a great opportunity to take advantage of email back in the day. It's still good. There's an incredible opportunity right now to use the Messenger bot, and someday it'll go away. So take advantage of it while it's still here. So kind of give you an idea, again, here's some stuff about automating it so you can kind of schedule out, how long, how many days in between stuff happens. Again, if you're having an open house on a Saturday and it's Monday, you could say, hey, open house, coming up this Saturday, click here to register. On Wednesday, hey guys, don't forget I'm having my open house. And on maybe Friday, you say, hey guys, you need directions to my open house. Just think about how you want to follow up with people that way. So anyway, you guys can scroll through here. There's a bunch of information. I just think ManyChat is a pretty cool program. Again, you can get started for free, play with it, mess around. One thing I will tell you, that if you jump ship, it's kind of challenging because you're going to gather all this data and all this information, and that program's going to remember it. What you can't do as easily, you can, but it's challenging, is to say, okay, I'm done with ManyChat. I want to switch to something else because this new program came out that I like. It's hard to get all that information, all that conversation over to that new app. So pick one and stick with it. I'm going to say that's probably your best option.